Hello and welcome once again to a dev diary for Imperator Rome. And you can see this beautiful burning Rome in the background. Isn't that just absolutely glorious? Roma delenda est indeed. And this is it doesn't look very high quality because I just scaled the image up, but I just wanted to show that at the start because it's beautiful, it's gorgeous, and I'm very excited to see more of this kind of effect on the map. I'd love to see earthquakes ruining buildings and I don't know, were tornadoes and stuff a thing? I don't even know, but I want to see more of this kind of stuff. That'd be pretty cool. Anyway, before we get into the dev diary, there are some things we need to go over once again, as per usual. And this time it is, again, a bit of a rant about great families. While there are quite a lot of disagrees here, I will say that this is just showing dev posts and the original post. There is a lot of comments in this thread basically not very happy with the way that great families are working. The long and short of the complaints so far is it's very gamey to have only, a certain amount of great families, and what about all the other families? Are they just going to end up disappearing because they can't have babies? These families are still quite important to the history of these nations, etc., etc. And, there's a bit of dissent. So Trin has come in for a little bit of clarification. So we'll start with what the original poster said. Just when I was starting to enjoy the game, it sounds like I'm about to be disappointed again. The whole Great Families thing feels like it's just trying to make the game more sterile again. A bunch of hard caps on characters, inability for minor characters to procreate. Seems like you're just slicing away immersion in a rich world, or at least the potential for it to be there. So our entire countries just revolve around 3 or 4 families. What's the point? Why we suddenly care more? This sounds highly unrealistic and just out of place. I know a lot would disagree with me, but there's probably a bunch of people who will be turned off by this too. Reading the dev diary, I can't see how it helps anyone in particular enjoy the game more. Now, when I was at ParadoxCon, I did play a bit with Macedon, and the family's rework was implemented in the game at that point, and I didn't get a huge amount of time to play. I was quite busy, but I did find myself caring a lot more about the characters than I usually did. Instead of, this guy is got the highest martial, he will now be my strategos. That just wasn't the case. It was, this guy is a member of this family, and this family is not very happy with me right now. So I kind of gotta make these guys happy, otherwise the entire family will revolt. And it made me think a lot more about the families than I did before. Before, families were, this guy's got a negative to loyalty because he's a scorned family. Who cares? And it was more based on characters individually than families. And now it's more based on families. And I personally thought it was a good change. I still do. But some clarifications from Trin. So I'd like to make a few clarifications. Minor characters are not necessarily inconsequential characters. They will still exist alongside your families at all times and may well hold important offices and even be consul when the circumstances arise. The main one being when your country increases in rank, they do form their own families. And again, I'm just going to reiterate the point that I made before. I would like to see families be able to usurp a bit more frequently than they did in the playthrough that I did at ParadoxCon. And just from what I've read, it doesn't seem to be a major impact on the game just so far. Or it doesn't seem to be something that happens too often. I think if a family goes low enough in prestige for whatever reason, maybe then they can have a chance to be, thrown to the wayside kind of thing. Unlike the great families, however, they do not have the clout to demand a certain influence in state, but will rather have to rely on their abilities or possibly your will not to empower your families further. Minor characters will come from families from a pool available to your culture. They're basically members of families whose influence is not as constant and entrenched as that of the great families. Even if a character of the Julii family dies, however, that does not mean that another will not show up later, and he'll then be able to make an impact through his own abilities. This part is, I think, quite important for where the game is, and a lot of the complaints are. People have been saying, for example, if we'll take the Julii as an example because it's here and I'm lazy. What if the Julii die out because they're a minor family? They can't make babies. They die out. They're gone forever. That's not the case. They will still crop up. The Julii family isn't dead. It's just there are no influential enough members of the Julii family to make an impact in your country. And, maybe a couple of decades down the line, maybe a Julii will rise to enough prominence to be recognized in the minor characters list. Something like that. What I would love to see, though, is families that you take in from conquered nations be added to your name list. So, for example, if I, as Macedon, take over the Thracians, then the Lysimachians, I can't remember his surname, but anyway, Lysimachus, his family would end up being one of your cultural names, so that if all of the Lysimachians, again, I should remember the name, but I don't, die off, they will still pop up from time to time, just like any other character. That's what I would like to see, but we'll see. While the families will guard their privileges, they will not be able to adopt anyone they want to, depending on their traits. Characters may refuse to become their clients and persevere as independent actors. Like stubborn, I think, is the one that he pointed out. Maybe there's more than just the stubborn trait, though. Since families do not expect to hold all jobs in your country, you're very likely to always have a fair number of minor characters in your service, where they can then prove themselves. What characters get to form families is different depending on government type, but it generally does mostly happen when country rank changes right now. So for Rome, the first time it happens will be after the First War. You'll be presented with a choice of 4 different families to pick to join your starting ones. And yeah, that makes sense to me. I see no problems with it, to be honest. Over time, as the system evolves, we want to do more things with it, including, but not limited to, more fluid rise of families. This is actually something the system handles quite well, as it is, but we have kept it somewhat restrictive while working out the new framework. The rework is of little use if it becomes a constant rise and fall, however, since part of its purpose is that you can come to fear the influence of a powerful family that has built up its prestige over a very long time. So we do want to think carefully about how and when families are added and old ones removed. And that's basically answering the question that I had, the desire that I had to see families usurp. It might come in time when they figure out the balance. Because, yeah, if you do have it be too constant, then that is going to be an issue. So, yeah, I'm fine with that. From feedback here, it's clear that many would rather see some more fluid ways for families to rise, at times outside of when rank changes, with minor characters creating a new family to replace one of the existing ones, especially in republics, and that is something we'll take a look at. So again, this is just another example of the Imperator devs looking at feedback, constructive feedback, because who wants to look at your game sucks, change it, blah blah blah, because that's toxic feedback and doesn't help anyone. And constructive feedback is worth it. It works. So yeah, this is one thing that they're looking at, and maybe by the time that Livy actually comes out, that this balance will be addressed, and the things that I want, rising and falling families, will be in the game. So who knows? Anyway, on to the dev diary itself. So, on to the 8th dev diary for the Livy update. Hello again, and welcome to this week's dev diary. As powerful as the new mission system is, producing unique and exciting missions for more than a few countries in the space of one update cycle was not something we felt we were able to achieve. As a result, we felt it would be worth spending some time creating some varied mission templates that could occur for every nation, and that would be capable of targeting different regions or areas depending on position. We've initially produced 2 main archetypes that any nation can pick, one focusing on conquest and the other on infrastructure and internal development. So far we've seen the missions for Rome and the mission for Carthage, and being that this is the Punic Wars DLC, although it is a free DLC, remember. Yeah, it makes sense that they would be the two countries that would be focused on. However, he did not say two or a couple, he said a few, so maybe there are more than just those two. Maybe there will be some for some of the Iberian tribes, maybe some for the other Italic tribes. I'm not sure. Maybe Sicily. I think maybe Sicily has some, but it's not something that we've really been told about just yet, so perhaps in the future we'll get more information about that. But anyway, on to the Conquest mission. The Conquest mission will select a region that feels appropriate to your current map borders and guide you through the conquest thereof. So, at the moment we're playing as Etruria, and this one wants us to consult the Senate. And then we've got Inter Italia, control Latium, and making gains, and defend Etruria. So yeah, this is the Matter of Italia mission, okay? That's one example of a conquest mission. Some branches will be chosen randomly, and others on a situational level. For example, a nation bordering uncolonized land may receive a task to colonize it, or a republic or monarchy bordering a tribe may receive a mission to fortify the border. We've tried to make this the tasks you'll see within the mission as varied as possible while retaining the overall structure, all while spacing off the same script structure. So this one is for Macedon, the Matter of Greece. That's unfortunate. It seems like Macedon does have the generic missions. So we've got developing Aetolia. This must be a... it is a conquest mission, although it has got development in it as well. Fair enough. Develop and supply Aetolia into Greece, making gains, control Boeotia, Laconia, the Aegean Islands, converting Boeotia, and acquiring Aetolia. So Boeotia being this country here. Aeolia is this green dude over here. So it's interesting that it's sending you that far away. The Aegean Islands are, of course, down here, behind the map. It's the islands there. Naxos is. Laconia... I can't remember where Laconia is. Oh, Laconia is in, like, the Peloponnese. I think it's the one that's, like, where Elis and Olympia is. So, yeah, these missions are telling you to go quite far south, which is interesting. You find that families and governorships take role in some of these tasks, accentuating the importance of favouring the right people. In a similar vein, I took a look at prototyping something we intend to work and build on in the future, namely the conversion of national decisions into short, story-focused mission chains. In this example, I've converted the decision to reform from a tribal government form into a bespoke mission tree. The mission selects a family to represent those amongst your nation that favour a republican ideal, and another to represent the nascent monarchists. And that I really quite like. I think that's kind of fun. Decisions in Imperator has always been something that I've felt is a little bit iffy. But if you can turn them... I don't know if you can turn them all, but if you can turn some of them into missions, that would be actually pretty cool. Quite like that. And then the tribal reformation mission that becomes available once you take the tribal reform decision. Oh, so you take the decision first and then it becomes available. Fair enough. The mission framework allows the decision to become a short-paced story, guiding the player through a period of instability and political chicanery, ultimately and hopefully resulting in attaining the government form of your choice. It's interesting that it seems like you might not get what you want, whereas what we've got right now is, if you want to become a monarchy, you can become a monarchy. There's nothing that anyone can do to stop you. The capacity for telling stories in this way should not be understated, and we've elected to include this prototype mission in the upcoming Livy update as a bit of a taster of possibilities for the future. And I think that's a really good idea. Having characters actually be involved in the missions, or basically having characters be involved in everything, is a really good idea. They should be. They absolutely should be there for as much as possible, as much as makes sense. So yeah, I'm totally behind that. Now I've got the develop mission, which I quite like a lot more than the conquest mission, having read this already. So once you have a large enough country for the infrastructure mission to be able to deduce meaningful tasks, it will become available and offer a number of branches for how to improve the infrastructure in a particular region. What these branches will actually entail, and even the name of the mission itself, will largely depend on what the specific region is like. This means that while the mission itself will repeat up to once per region under your control, its content will vary in part or in total, but the overall structure will remain similar. So at the moment we've got these two here, Pearl of Baetica and the Matter of Baetica. So Baetica is our home as well as the centre of our country. We must grow the economy of our home region and renovate the capital itself to make the shining centre of civilization it deserves to be. So to do it, you will need to embellish our capital, increase the food supply, and develop local mining and prospect for new deposits. That prospect for new deposits is something that will come up in a moment, so let's keep going. So, starting branches. Starting branches are dependent on the resource of the province you control in the region. They may relate to building up agricultural food-focused provinces, facilitating maritime trade and naval matters in a province with many ports, turning a particularly populous territory into a city, and building up its infrastructure a bit, and building up a mining region. Sometimes there is more than one way to progress through these branches. The agricultural focus path, for instance, let you decide what to use the newfound surplus for, spend it to increase pop happiness, or build up a local food depot for your armies to stock up on in the province. So we've got these ones here for Egypt, the fruits of Asyut. Asyut has farming settlements in all produce settlements producing food. So there's 4 of them. Wants you to do all of them, and then for 10 years, you'll get local monthly food modifier plus 20%. The reward I don't see is very impactful. Let's be quite honest about that. I would prefer to see longer lasting bonuses. I don't see that as being entirely useful. It's not something I'm like, oh, I need this. Longer lasting bonuses would surely be a bit better. Preferably, I'd love to see more until the end of the game bonuses, or until a certain thing happens. Like, maybe at some point you have so many people in this region in Upper Egypt that you end up losing food, and then maybe you get bandits or barbarians coming from the deserts, and they raid your food supplies, or you raid your granaries, raid your whatever, because they're hungry too. And then something happens and you've got another mission to deal with that kind of thing happening, or an event or some such. And maybe the bonus will go away, and maybe something like that would be pretty cool. I don't know. Anyway, we've got some optional side branches. So first off, prospecting in Chalcidice. So if you have 800 gold and spend 800 gold, the prospectors find metal or minerals in Chalcidice. You'll be able to change trade goods produced here. That seems very expensive for Macedon, though I imagine this is going to be a mission that will stick around for a while. So at some point 800 gold is not going to be the end of the world, but at the start of the game Macedon does start with a negative income. Although he seems positive here, so maybe something's changed on the economic side for Macedon as well. I guess we'll see. But yeah, got prospecting in Chalcidice, expanding trade in Amathia, Elimia breeding program, and then embellish Pella for the Pearl of Macedonia mission. In addition to there being more than one way to progress through the branches, there are also optional side branches to the development mission. Things like that may or may not be available depending on what provinces are like, and you can go for if you want to spend the resource to get extra things. So prospecting for more mineable trading goods, building up a shipping industry in a naval town, and importing horses to set up a military breeding program. This sounds really cool. I don't know what this is, but it sounds really cool and I want to try it out. So, main branch, the center of the governorship. So this one I really like. So, we've got Embellish Alexandria. We've seen the Embellish Pella for Macedon. I'm assuming there's going to be a Embellish Carthago, Embellish Rome, that kind of thing as well. And I'm curious if it's going to be the same. So, you need to get either stone, marble, iron, or wood into Central Delta. Personally, I'd prefer it if it was all 4 that you'd need, but hey-oh. The reward is until the end of the game you get plus 15 local tax, 2 extra building slots, and 10% extra civilization level. And this does kind of tie into what I've been asking for a while, which is some things that you can do to your province that require these trade goods. Remember before I said that maybe you can't build, a temple unless you have stone or marble, or maybe your forum requires iron. This isn't it, but it's on the way there. It's certainly on the way there. I still think I really like what I suggested, and I hope it is added at some point, but for now, I like this. This is a really good mission. I like it. And also it lasts until the end of the game, which is really cool, so hey-ho. Now, the main branch of the infrastructure mission is devoted to the growth and development of the regional centre. What this means will again differ depending on the circumstances. If it's a foreign culture region, then the mission will focus on building up a centre of loyal pops of your own culture and religion, for instance. If the region is that of your capital, it will instead focus on the embellishment of the capital city itself and acquiring resources to create suitable monumental architecture there for an empire such as yours. The theme of the main branch will also decide what the mission itself is named, making it clear from the mission selection screen what type of mission you expect and what the branches in it might be. So over here we've got embellishing Alexandria, Saqqara Serapeum at Memphis, constructing a flagship, and renovating the Memphis shrines. Very nice. There is also an optional side branch to the main branch, which will only show up if the region contains a particularly holy place to your religion, such as the Oracle of Delphi for the Hellenistic faith, or the Anu Temple of Uruk for a Chaldean country. This branch will let you embellish the shrine itself and eventually decide on a way to fund the priesthood there in the future, with options ranging from setting up enough religious endowments to setting up religious subject state under a new scion of one of your great families. And that's kind of cool, I think. Especially more focus on like religious centers. I'm down. I'm totally down. Obviously, the Judean faith, the Hebrew faith, go away, Radion, will have things like, Jerusalem itself, probably something like Damascus, all these kind of places would make sense for it. So yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. So overall, the various tasks in the development mission make use of a number of tasks, with some focusing on very concrete actions such as constructing buildings or making provincial investments, while others are timed tasks that require an initial investment and will let you react to events over time that pertain to how you want to solve a particular problem. Bit of a word salad there, but hey-ho. To conclude, we've been working on a little extra for the Livy update, which I'll just leave here. And yes, this is what I had here. It's beautiful. I really like that a lot. It is something that I saw while at PDXCon as well. Happens when you sack a city. That will just burn, and it'll be very easy to see a trail of destruction you leave while you siege an enemy's land. I can't remember how long it lasts for, but I like it a lot. It's really cool. Anyway, there are some dev comments as well in the comments section, so we'll go into those. The modding of the mission system will be talked about in a future dev diary, or can you talk about it now? So Snow Crystal here has talked about it a bit, and I don't really know about anything to do with modding, so you can see if it's repeatable, you can see the chance of it, sets condition for the mission to appear, the effects a run with the mission becomes available, blah blah, like there's lots of stuff there. You can see the Carthaginian ones here as well, just as an example, I guess. But yeah, if you know modding, then there you go. That's for you. Here you can see the syntax of the mission. Note that this is for the sake of explaining missions and not that we are actually adding an 11th mission for Carthage and Gaul. The mission will generate as you start trying to find an optimal solution to how to set up the mission. Wherever you add a new mission to the task, to the required of another, it will be pushed beneath it, and a line will be added in between the two. Similarly, if there are any mission tasks that do not fit the potential, the tree will simply not generate them and find other solutions on how it should look, which is one of the reasons it's so powerful. Yeah, that's why it's dynamic. Things will appear in different places, and it's not so rigid like, EU4s. You can see every single mission you can ever take in EU4 from the start of the game. I mean, unless you tag switch, but same thing really. But yeah, this is a lot more dynamic, which is cool, I think, and powerful. Word they keep using, it's powerful. For our generic missions, we use the on potential in a mission to set up a lot of targets, areas to conquer, areas to build your civilization, etc. In the infrastructure generic mission, it will pick certain branches when it generates sometimes food, sometimes ports, etc. Whereas in the Conquest mission, it will often use some of the same mission tasks, but with completely new targets every time and with a large set of potential rewards. Lovely. Someone asked for the Roman unique missions, or sorry, the Carthaginian ones, but I mean, it's already been done. And then the development mission requires a certain size, but not the Conquest mission. That one doesn't. And when I first read this, the dev mission requires a certain size, I was initially quite worried. But then if you see when they start talking about the development mission right here, they're starting with this nation here, which I can't remember the name of, but it's less than 25 territories, so it's not too bad. But either way, it's been quite a decent length dev diary video, so I would love to know your thoughts, and I'm going to end it here. So please do leave your comments in the comment section below. If you liked the video, then chuck me a like. If you want to keep up to date on all Imperator Rome news, then this is the channel to follow. So, you know, subscribe and bells and, you know, all of the things that people tell you to do. And I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.